done 6 solo records, starting
Oh,
with
God.
Housework
Yikes.
back in the 90s, which I love that record. You're like so raw, it's great. Drum Wave, Live at the Blue Note, Native Lands, Life in This World, and this last one, celebrating Elvin Jones. So I just want to focus on. So everybody should go seek those out. They're all of a high quality. Seek those records out. Um, Now I want to turn to Life in This World,
Okay.
and you know I'm a fan of this song, and we got to talk about it.
Sure.
Woo! So one of the things, again, I often check out, what people comment, and in researching for this, and I went back and looked at your performance at the Buddy Rich.
Oh, God.
Yeah, way back. This is like early '90s, and you were
Yeah.
on fire. You're doing Max Roach licks, and woo, it was like intense. The funny thing is, at that time, it was in the heyday of coming off of Time's Up and going into Stain, and you were like the rock drummer, in people's minds, and you were the black rock drummer,
Thank you for leaving. Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So a lot of the comments were just like kind of shocked that you were even invited, which not that you were invited, it was just, I think they were just so shocked that you played the big band so well. They were
No.
like this,
Well,
like,
thanks.
that's what I noticed. So it was like, wow, like first of all, he's invited to this. First of all. Second of all, he's like creaming this stuff, like, because they just had no idea that a rock drummer could have that depth. So I think, that's a lot of what we talked about before, that full immersion obviously serves you well. And it's something I think drummers should really do. You should be a fan of music, not just of a drummer or a style of music. You should immerse whatever it takes to be inside as much music as possible, just for the sake of music. And sure enough, like it was so evident how well you played that. So moving ahead now to make these solo records with a jazz focus, this Evidence, the song is an old Thelonious Monk song that even the actual song, you got to put your thinking cap on. The way they
Absolutely.
played it, you had to like, okay,
Absolutely.
get my,
Yeah,
get my
yeah.
slide rule out, my abacus, and get, and then it was funny because I went to your place with Kai, and we left. You gave me the record, and I was like, oh, let me just pop this in. And I'm really digging the record. We're driving downtown to meet up with Julie, and Evidence comes on, and I was like, uh-oh. Wait a minute, I have to play that again. Where's the, what? I'm hitting the rewind button. Where? So I did figure it out, and you mentioned, like talk about that groove and how it came to be and where you learned it.
Sure. Post Living Colors breakup, the first, we had to break up for a couple of years. I was traveling often to West Africa to study. I felt like it was a great time for me to get the history of my instrument and get to learn more about what I'm playing, and not ending with New Orleans or the Caribbean or South or Central America. I really wanted to know more about the beats and the vibrations of rhythms, etc. So I started there in Mali. Fell in love with Mali. Had the opportunity to work and tour with Sangari, the great Sangari. What a fabulous woman, what a fabulous band leader, what a fabulous artist, and what a fabulous human being. And being in Mali, I fell in love with Mali. I fell in love with the people and music, and I stayed like 6 months on my first trip, and then 3 months on my next trip, then almost a year on the next trip, and almost ready to move there.
Oh,
but
incredible.
what I was getting rhythm wise was blowing my mind, because you had older guys talking to you about the rhythm and how things that led to creating the style New Orleans plays or Chicago plays, etc. So the wedding drummers were the most frightening drummers that I met over there. And I met 3 guys that played outside my hotel window for a wedding. They closed the street, and literally when I heard these guys play, my blood went the other direction. And I ran downstairs and I was like, what the hell's going on? They called us a wedding. And then the guys would say, hey man, we do a couple of these a week. Do you want to hang out with us? So my first 2 weeks in Mali, I just hung out with wedding drummers.
Amazing.
And I learned all of these ways to play 6 and 3 and 9 and 7 and 14 and 12 in a festive setting, in a way where grandma could dance and the little baby can dance and so on. So that was the beginning of me. They would laugh at me because I love that pattern. They would call it, they said, Will likes the Mali 6. The Mali 6. This is the Mali 6. So I got nicknamed Mali 6 from those guys, because that's the rhythm that I fell in love with.
Amazing.
So I decided, ironically, that wasn't planned, coming back home one time, what am I going to do for this record? I had the musicians. I had the music. I love Thelonious Monk, and I'm thinking, what can I put something that I learned in Mali on this record without beating the music over the head, without trying to sound obviously like a cowbell or a djembe. And I don't know how it happened. I just listened to this one day, sitting down in the house, going through songs, and I was like, wait a minute. Evidence is the perfect song. If you look at the music and you look how the song's laid out, how it can work.
Right.
And the accents he's playing, da, 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 which the way Monk's playing the piano sounds like it's in 6.
Right. That's very true.
It sounds like a 6 feel.
It does.
So immediately I was like, oh, and then it was like a blueprint of putting, a paper over paper and getting the information by laying one map over another map. So that Mali 6 rhythm works so much with the piano part more than the actual music. So that was my way of auditioning that layer. I did it with Buster Williams. Was not a fan of coming in on that. Actually, he would always say, "You and the piano, you guys start the song out. I'll come in when you all start to swing."
Right.
And then I did 3 gigs with Buster as a bass player with that music. And on the 3rd gig rehearsal, he asked me, "Okay, Will, what's going on here?" And I was honored that. And he said, and he played it. And he said, "Now, just because I know it doesn't mean I'm going to play it." So I think the first set he did at Disney's, and the second set he didn't. He just wanted to know where it was, but he said, "Don't think because you showed me where it is now that I'm going to do it. I still might not do it." I said, "Okay, Buster." So the idea is it's 2 bass drums, as you know. I like to use 2 bass drums, and one's tuned a little bit higher, and the other one's tuned a little bit lower. But the idea is the high, with the pattern being 3, it's dot boom boom, dot boom boom, dot boom boom, right, high low low, high low low, so da 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 da. So you have the sound ding da dum, 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 ding da dum. So you can think about it this way: 4 ding da dum, ding da dum, ding da dum. But really, it's ding da doom, ding da dooms. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3,
Right.
1, 2, 3,
Right.
da 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 da.
Right.
So both work.
Mhm, mhm. Right.
Da do da da do do be. So it's the same thing, really.
Right. Right.
And if you play the Smiley 6, I'm playing it like a 6/4, so it's not really in 3 sonically. And now the hi-hat, I'm playing the hi-hat and the left bass drum at the same time. But
Your foot side.
jazz guys hear the hi-hat, like Buster kept thinking that was 2, and it's not.
And that's
It's
what messed
1,
me up at first.
2,
Yeah.
3. 1, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's 1
Yeah.
and 1
Right. Right.
and 1 and
Right.
da 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 1 bop doo be
Right.
1
Right.
and so that's the only confusing part, really, Aubrey, is how we're trained to hear music.
Right.
And because we are trained to hear jazz hi-hat on 2 and 4, we hear 2 and 4, and we jump right into that.
Right there, and it throws
Now,
you.
when I did it, I didn't think it was going to be that confusing. It made sense to me because I was trying to play this wedding Mali 6 thing. But I realized when I sat down with jazz, like a lot of jazz pianists also were coming on the wrong place because they thought, and I said, no, the hi-hat's not on 2.
It's on
It's
1.
on 1.
Yeah.
And then once I said that,
Once you feel it on the 1, you're comfortable. Everything's fine. But as long as you think of it in the reverse, and then the bass drum too, it also makes you feel it's turned around if you think of the hi-hat on 2.
Yes.
So everything about it, when you lead up to that swing, if you're on that other world, there's no way you can catch it. You know what I mean? Like,
it left you. The bus has left.
The bus has left.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites for sure. Another one on that record is sort of highlights something I know you like to do when you solo. Let me get this up here and check this out.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So you use the ostinato on your bass drums beautifully on that.
Oh, thank you.
And it reminds me a lot of some things you hear Bozio play in his solo works. Just the state of mind, that same kind of, really rooted ostinato, and then this beautiful floating groove on top. Does that pretty much sum up how you were thinking during that?
Yeah. It's a duo, so I'm trying to cover. That's a volume field, which this is which is heavily used more on congas. It's like a conguero rhythm. I played on 2 or 3 drums, and it's a danceable rhythm, and it has a little bit of the shoulders and the waist vibe kind of moving. It's it's a sexy dance vibe.
Yeah.
And the idea is to make that bottom sexy and flow and keep it moving, and then on the top, you can put on the volume. You can put a 3, 2, 7, 9, 4, everything. Right, it all fits in there. So the idea of just playing the drums and piano was to have something flowing, and then just using the top, my 2 hands as accents on the flow of that pattern.
So the accents were pretty loose. It wasn't like a pattern per se up top. You were just sort of. It was like, am I understanding that correctly? Like
correct. That's correct. With a volume, normally playing it with the hand drummers, that's the guidance piece, and the other parts are all basically accents off of that. The idea is sometimes just not to play in with that pattern, is to play off of that pattern. So historically, culturally, that pattern is built as a base, and then everything, even the dancers, they start with their leg moving this way, and then once that begins, the shoulders and the hands and everything starts to fly off of that pattern. And if you watch a dancer dance to a volume, you'll see them do all of these things, but you'll be able to still intellectualize on that original pattern. It's kind of there, and that's the idea.
And that was inspired from your interest in Brazil and staying there and going there.
Yes. Thank you very much. Yeah, Maracatu. I went up north in Recife to study.
Okay.
Maracatu and play with some of the. I went as far as the Forro Indians from the Amazon. Play some Forro music, and man, this stuff is so beautiful. Which a lot of it comes from Angola too, from Africa. And the interesting thing about Brazil is many of the rhythms that come from that part of Africa and get into Brazil, they get stuck in regions of Brazil. That's why it was important for me to travel to different parts, because we know about sambas and these kind of things. Right. And there's so many other interesting things up north that aren't necessarily popular in pop music for drummers. That's really cool to learn and to play and to transfer over to drum set. Maracatu being my favorite.
Beautiful. So we've taken this whole route, but I'm going to bring you back to color one last time.
Sure.
Let me see if I get this right here. And this is a bit of a two-parter as well. So.
Okay.
And during the few moments that we have left, we want to talk right down to earth in a language that everybody here can easily understand.
Wow.
Everyone knows that one.
Classic.
That's a classic. So first, I got my story with this song. I had moved to New York in 1988. So that was around when everything was jumping off for y'all.
That's right.
1988. And I went to study at Manhattan School of Music. That's where I met Greg Hutchinson and a bunch of folks from that time. And so I'm in Tower Records, Uptown. Right?
Okay.
Uptown, like in the 60s, right? I'm at Tower Records.
Near Lincoln Center.
That's right. And you know how they used to play music of what's happening in the day, right? In the store. And they usually have a video or something going. And so I'm around there looking at some Wayne Shorter CDs. So I'm, going through.
Good choice.
Speak No Evil, and I'm like perusing.
Yeah.
And then I go, is that Malcolm X? I'm going like, what's going on? And Vernon's Lick came in, and the drums came in, and everybody in the store stopped what they're doing and looked at the speakers. like
wow.
Like the heavens, like what and who is that? What is that? It was that. Did you all have any idea what you had in your hands at that time? Or was this
no.
Right?
No, not even. Aubrey, the idea for every song, we rehearsed very often. Took it like a job. We rehearsed 5 or 6 days a week.
Right.
Went to the loft in Brooklyn. We wrote, we tried it, we flipped it, we did it slow, we did it fast, we sped it up, we changed the keys. It was always a work in progress. Mm-hmm. Yes, we did feel like when Cult of Personality was written, we had something unique. Mm-hmm. We felt that in the beginning. And ironically, we always had conversations before songs. Mm-hmm. Conversations before rehearsals. When I was changing the drums around, because the drum set belonged to the guy who owned the loft, I adjusted a few things. Vernon would plug his stuff in, Muzzy, and we would talk about whatever was happening at that time. Mm-hmm. And Corey brought up what makes people follow people. Okay. Is it the same thing? Is it the same energy that makes someone follow Hitler, follow Gandhi? Like, what is it?
Right.
And we were just having these, we always had these kind of heady conversations at times.
Okay.
And the conversation started at the stairs and coming upstairs, and it bled into getting sounds.
Okay.
And Corey was like, you know what? It's kind of interesting. And one thing went off to another, and then Vernon played this riff, and Corey was like, hang on, that's the dope riff. And it came together, I have to say, rather quickly, which was a shock.
Amazing.
The thing is, we didn't write the song the way it turned out. We had the opposite way. We had Cult of Personality. We had the choruses first, and then the lyrics. When Ed Stasium came on as a producer, he said, this song is great. If you don't mind, I want to try one thing. I want to put the verses first, and the Cult of Personalities after the verses, after the lines.
Okay.
And then that's when the heavens opened up for us.
There's a couple of things. So, well, first of all, even Ed could see that something deep was going to happen. But in that song, you have like odd bars happening. Some of the riffs go over the bar line. This is not the formula for a popular song, right?
No.
This is not what we do,
Yeah.
Did anyone challenge that, or?
Sony told us that song is not a single. No way is it going to be a single.
Boom.
Middleman was the first single. It was the safest track to go with. It was the first video. Cult of Personality was not on the list. We wanted to see how Middleman was going to track and get an idea. I wanted to start with Cult because it was pissing everybody off. And I'm from the school of the fact that everyone's pissed about the song.
It's got to be good. Yeah.
And then when it came second against many people's, much to many folks' chagrin, it changed the life for us, for the band, for for rock and roll, in my opinion, for rock radio, for MTV, for all of those things. And Malcolm's daughter, we ran into around the time we were writing the song.
Okay.
Was very open about, let me call my mom and let me ask, because originally we had Dr. King.
Oh, okay.
But the King Foundation and family
weren't having it.
They wanted a little bit more than we had to offer. No disrespect. And then ironically, look what happened. We went with Malcolm.
Right.
And I think it's more suitable for the track.
It is.
And then the hip hop thing, and Spike Lee did the X movie, and it fell into all of these things. The Malcolm X, who to me never went away, became more like a rock star in that period.
Yeah.
The 80s and 90s. So
remarkable.
That's kind of really, but yeah, it was a track that was not made up of the pop recipes.
Like that's what just got me, was just, first of all, it kind of reminds me of Tom Sawyer. Now, the reason I say that, Tom Sawyer, obviously Rush's biggest hit, and a lot of people don't realize that middle section is in 7, right?
Yeah.
Because it just sits so in such a relaxed way, and the way Geddy and Neil play is it just flows until you think, wait a minute, that's not 4/4. Like it dawns on you that it's not.
Yeah.
And the same thing happens in Cult, is that when it goes and have those bars of 7 that show up, or whatever, however you're thinking of them, but it's not 4/4 anymore. It's like the phrase ends like that. You start another one.
Yeah.
Who cares if there's a beat missing? You know
That's
what
right.
I mean? And when Vernon's line, this right here, hold on so I can find it. This.
Yeah.
You don't make a pop song with that.
Yeah.
Like, what are you people doing? We're trying to make a popular record here.
We get those comments with not as pleasant faces as the one we have right now.
Right.
But yes, we did receive, what is this? This is not jazz. Like, what are you guys doing? But it was so out the box, and as you said, in my opinion, it was really kind of, it just felt like it was a regular rock riff. It didn't feel odd metered or whatever at all. It felt right.
Or it has sophistication without being obvious.
Yeah, yeah. But we're not trying to do any math in there.
Right, right.
What you're trying to do with any song is tell the story of the lyric.
Exactly.
And that riff is so great in separating the verse from the chorus, because, especially if you're looking at the video, the imagery of Stalin and you know, and Mussolini and these people, and you have this space of it's almost like the words are sinking in and you're getting a bigger and bigger and bigger idea. Then boom, neon lights, Nobel Prize comes in. I think that brings you like into the library of the song, kind of, you know, it brings you into the theatrics of it in a way. So in that aspect, that guitar line is brilliant, because you're having time to think about what you're experiencing before getting to the chorus.
Thanks for watching my video. Really glad you did that. Subscribe and click here if you want more performance and lesson videos.